I chair NFOAC Technical Subcommittee 1, which is on network architectures and services. And we've seen, I'd say the significant trends we've seen within papers for that committee, one that was very clear is software-defined networks. This is OpenFlow as an example of a software-defined networks. This is a controversial subject in that relatively recent development. Is it a fit within a carrier network? And we've received a number of papers of how the software-defined networks can be incorporated within a wide area network carrier. So I think we must have had 6 or 7 papers that were accepted on this particular subject. Another topic that received attention is FlexGrid. This is when you have flexible allocation of spectrum rather than following or subscribing to the ITU grid. And there was one very interesting paper where a group actually implemented a FlexGrid transponder and then added to it software-defined networking with a path computation element in a network laboratory. So we felt that it represented a huge effort to combine these very new technologies into a single lab testbed. So I think you're seeing, I think that was a significant effort and adds to both the FlexGrid and the software-defined network development. Another area, we asked for invited papers by carriers to represent their network evolution. We know that vendors are very interested in what are the network carriers planning. And so we have significant papers from major carriers such as AT&T and Verizon. And we have invited papers from a carrier in Russia and in India. So we hope to allow them to permit their notions on how the network will evolve and where it will be heading. This subcommittee has 3 panels and 1 workshop. The workshop is on software-defined networks. I mentioned that it's controversial, and this is meant to be controversial. It's really, is software-defined network appropriate for a carrier? We have organizers from Google and Cisco, and I think so they're going to organize this session. I think it will be very interesting, where I think they are, committed or believe in SDN within wide area networks, and I think the audience will be populated by people who are very skeptical. So I am looking forward to a good discussion in that group. One of the panels is on dynamic network services. I mentioned cloud computing as new requirements for dynamic network services. And so we have a special panel devoted to that topic, and where we have AT&T, Ciena, representatives from carriers and from manufacturers representing how they're proposing that, as well as from the federal agencies. I think this is the first time that I'm aware of that people from the federal agencies have spoken at OFC. And they've been working in this area for 10 years. They have existing services, and they represent a pretty mature perspective on dynamic network services. Another panel is on network security. A person, Scott McNown, who has been working in this field his entire career, has pulled together a panel at the request of the program committee chairs on network security. And so that's another one that we have. Initiatives and applications of optical control plane networks. Joe Berthold and Jonathan Sadler. Joe Berthold is Vice President of Architecture at Ciena, and John Sadler works at Tel Labs. He's been committee chair within the OIF, the Optical Internetworking Forum, that has developed the optical control plane for years. They're thoroughly familiar and expert in this area. And they're organizing a panel on the application of the optical control plane within carrier networks. This is, say, a 10 years long development, and it's only, I would say, its adoption has been slow for this technology, and I think they'll present a perspective on what deployments have there been, how is it being used, and what are the impediments to its deployment. We have one tutorial within the committee which is on MPLS-TP. MPLS-TP is the transport. The development there has been, MPLS is a packet switch technology. There's concern about the quality of service within packet transport. And there's been an initiative within standards bodies to create a packet-based transport, which is equivalent to service in service quality to SONET and optical transport network, to TDM-based technologies. It's a significant development, and we have a tutorial focused specifically on that. And the intent there is to educate people about the technology and its use and how it might be deployed within a network.